Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jazz Loft. Tom Manuel here with my good friend Steve Salerno on the guitar. It's been a little bit of a respite since we have presented to you some of these performances live from the loft, but we are back. We are back indeed, and we have a wonderful little lineup of tunes for you that we think that you will enjoy quite much. So we are going to start off with a wonderful song by Salvatore Antonio Guaragna, Guaragna, dig that. Also known as Harry Warren, one of the great songwriters of our time. And back in 1943, Harry wrote this tune called This Heart of Mine. Yeah, Steve.
Yeah, swing it, Tom.
Is that a great tune, man?
Yeah, great.
Harry Warren. Harry Warren. Harry's a good favorite of Steve and I. Man, we just love Harry Warren's tunes. He was something else. He was really rather amazing, you know. So I do want to share some exciting news. It was just recently 6 months that the Jazz Loft has been closed, and we are sadly still closed. But we have a wonderful new program on the heels of these videos and online programming that we've been doing, and this wonderful spirit tour that we did in the community, bringing a lot of performances to our area restaurants and venues and whatnot. We're going to be doing this wonderful living museum tour that's called What is Jazz? And is the wonderful brainchild of a lot of people that came up with this absolutely appropriately socially distanced tour through the entire Jazz Loft, all 7 spaces, that ends up outdoors. And you get this map and you go through all the different cities that were important to jazz through its birth and evolution, and you hear these wonderfully small groups of performers that are playing, and you wind up outdoors where you can enjoy some snacks and beverages and whatnot. So we have our first one coming up next weekend, and then we have one in October. So we invite all of you to come and check that out and enjoy some music and support the Loft, of course, in a very safe and comfortable way. So that's exciting.
Really
It's coming up, yeah, which is pretty cool. Some new exhibits up. The new Xavier Cugat exhibit is up downstairs. Jack Teagarden exhibit.
Oh, wow.
That's up as well.
Excellent.
So some fun stuff happening.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful tune that was rather popular in the late 40s, early 50s. A lot of singers covered this tune, and it's a song called A Sinner Kissed an Angel. So, and maybe I could get some brownie points if I say that this aptly captures the relationship between my wife and I. And I will, just in case you're wondering who the sinner is, I'll take the rap for that one.
I don't think anyone's wondering.
You don't think so? Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Whenever you're ready, man.
just write one tune like that, right?
Just one.
Wow,
I just
that's
need
a
one.
great tune.
Not even two.
Yeah,
Just one. Just one, yeah. So Steve and I got to go on a little bit of a Jazz Loft excursion, and we were about a week or so ago in Brooklyn and picked up a wonderful, wonderful donation of over 100 very important jazz books, many of them first editions that came from the collection of a man who was an engineer for Columbia Records, very involved in the jazz world and very involved in the 90s and early 2000s with a lot of projects that were, how would you say it, refurbishing these old recordings?
yeah. He was, EQing them and editing some of them that were on decaying formats.
The original formats, right?
Yeah. So that was really interesting.
Yeah. So we got to spend some time with our good friend Doug Pomeroy, and he was so generous to make that donation to the Loft, which is added to our already impressive library. And we were already in Brooklyn, so we figured, well, we might as well just continue on to Rahway, New Jersey.
As one would.
As one would, of course. This is the very next stop. I think it's the next stop on the train, right? It's Brooklyn, Rahway. But we went and had lunch outdoors with Warren Vacher, the great cornet player, and got to hang a little bit and play a few tunes. And this was the first time I'd ever played this tune, so we're going to explore it a bit. Warren had called this tune, it's a tune called Little Boat. It was written back in 1965 by Roberto Menescal. So this is Little Boat. tune,
It
man.
is.
That's a fun tune.
It's a good tune.
Warren was right. It jumps up on you though and surprises you. It's like every time you get comfortable, it's like, yeah.
Well, we didn't play it that fast with him.
We didn't. He's a lot smarter and wiser than I am. The sage master knows to tempo di lerno
Yeah.
should have been the chosen tempo. Yeah. Well, you know, there's always next time.
So I heard a funny story recently, actually, from Warren. Was telling me about. I had written a book. I read a great book recently by a good friend of mine. He's on faculty at Boston University. His name's Jeremy Yudkin. And if you're a Miles Davis fan, he wrote a great book on the album Miles Smiles. And he recently came out with another great book on Beethoven. But before that, he completed a book on the Music Inn, which was in the Berkshires in Lenox, just right down the road from Tanglewood. And it was this wonderful place from 1950 to 1960 that this wonderful couple named the Barbers ran. And if you are into jazz history and you look at what they did at the Music Inn, their jazz festival actually predated the Newport Jazz Festival,
Right.
which is regarded, many people think,
Yeah.
is the first jazz festival.
Yeah.
And if you look at when they started their School of Music, it actually predates the first collegiate jazz programs in the United States of America. So what they were doing there was amazing, and they had the Modern Jazz Quartet was in residence, Brubeck and his group was in residence, the Ellington Orchestra played there, Sarah Vaughan, Louis Armstrong. I mean, it was really an amazing, amazing time in history. There was a point to this story which has eluded me.
It's a story that Warren was telling you.
Oh yeah, so Bobby Hackett had played up there, and in this book by Jeremy Yudkin about the Lenox School of Jazz, the Music Inn or the Music Barn, as it was called, the students would often work at the different things that needed to be done there. And Bobby Hackett finishes his show, and he went up to the bar and is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for a drink, and finally this young student comes. Hate that, right? This young student comes, and Bobby Hackett says to him, he goes, "Hey, you're a piano player, right?" And the student's all excited that Bobby Hackett remembers that he's, one of the student piano players at the School of Jazz there. And he says, yeah, how did you know? And he says, because you're a really crappy bartender. So then Warren told me the story about Bobby going through Canadian Customs. And they stopped him. They opened up his horn case. And they asked him, is this a musical instrument? To which Bobby replied, sometimes. That's a great one, right? I can relate to that.
What do we have, Tom?
We have a tune. We got a little blues for you that was written by the great jazz critic Leonard Feather. A lot of people don't know he started off as a piano player and actually had incredible training as a musician. And this was a blues that he wrote. Dinah Washington sang it back in 1943, and it's called the Salty Papa Blues.
The two. I count two. Now I've got a woman, she treats me like the rest. Say I've got a woman, man, she treats me like all the rest. She gets me all so worried, I don't know where I'm at. Mama, why are you so salty? Why do you bring me down? I said, Mama, why you so salty?
Why you bring me down?
You know there's no complaint, baby, when my other gals come around.
I'll tell you what, yeah.
Say now when I give you all my loving, you say I wear you out. When I give you none at all, you say you can't do without. I ain't against with you, baby. You need a different line. Go get a fortune telling man who knows how to read your mind. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Leonard Feather, man. He was not fooling around with that blues. That's the real deal, man.
Wonderful, Tom.
Yeah, Salty Papa Blues. So we want to do a little tune that Steve and I are working on for an upcoming recording, and it's a beautiful tune that we've been playing for quite a few years now, actually, by the great Cuban composer Osvaldo Fares. And this is a tune that he wrote, and it's called Tres Palabras. Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's on the record. That's beautiful.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Man. Whew. Well, I do want to say, I hope you all, I know we took a little bit of a break from these performances, but I hope that you are enjoying this one. But I also hope that you're enjoying all of our behind the scenes episodes. If you haven't caught those, man, we had one come out on Monday, I think it was, and a bunch are coming out over the next week or two. And they're really spectacular. If you're watching this for the first time and this is kind of news to you, the behind the scenes episodes are these very short 4, 5, 6, 7 minute clips that are in all different parts of the Jazz Loft, and it's these wonderful stories into all the archives we have here, whether it be musical instruments or manuscripts or art, photography, just really fun stuff. We just did one this past week on the 1946 Model 015 jukebox that's downstairs, the Wurlitzer jukebox, and the history of the jukebox, which was really kind of fun. I actually learned a ton
Yeah.
just brushing up on getting ready to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But if you missed any of those, they're all online. They're all on YouTube. They're on our Jazz Loft YouTube page, and you could search them up. But the ones that are coming up are really super. So I invite you to check those out. They're pretty fun, you know. Yeah. This next tune, I have to be honest with you, I don't know where I got this lead sheet. I don't know, maybe Harry Allen might have left it here on the stand when he performed here, but this is a beautiful new composition by a tenor man by the name of Harry Allen. And it has these beautiful words by Greg Oppenheimer. And it's this wonderful little tune called A Dream Will Have to Do. And we want to present this melody to you. We think it's something that's really pretty, and we hope you enjoy it. So this is Harry Allen's A Dream Will Have to Do. Right about there?
Yeah.
Should we go right on?
Sure. It's a really pretty tune.
That's a pretty tune, right?
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I was going through stuff and I found that, and I just was playing it on the piano. I'm like, man, this is pretty. We should try and
Yeah,
try
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Could be something in there.
Yeah.
Something in there.
Sure
Yeah.
is.
So this next tune that we're going to do for y'all is a tune that's kind of new to Steve and I. We've performed this a few times over the last few months, and it's kind of evolved in a few different ways. And we're kind of, the cool thing about
playing together and doing things like this, and you're a witness to it with that last tune. That was the first time we've played that. Some tunes we kind of like, and then you play them again, and after a while you find the right tempo, you find the right key, you start to develop an arrangement. Steve might play something really hip, and then that kind of becomes our go-to introduction, and maybe I play something a little different, and now we have a variation on the melody, and then we might have some other musicians with us, and it ends a certain way, and that becomes our ending. And next thing you know, after a few months or even longer, you kind of have this wonderful arrangement of really right in the pocket where you like the tune. And this is one that's been percolating for a few months. And we even are making one more change to it now. But this is a beautiful old tune by Victor Young and Ned Washington, and it's called 100 Years from Today. And this was actually on what I believe was the last studio session that Frank Sinatra did. He did a wonderful album called L.A. is My Lady. Quincy Jones had a killer swinging big band that was just an all-star A-list of players on LA and from the East Coast. I mean, the guys came from all over for this. And it was actually quite a few years after Sinatra's official retirement. But there was some good stuff on that album, even though his voice was kind of, showing its age. But this was one of the tunes on that album, LA is My Lady. It's called 100 Years from Today.
That's about good.
Yeah.
A little intro up front.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Here we go now.
I say don't save your kisses, pass them around. You'll find my reason is logically sound. Who's gonna know that you passed them around 100 years from today? Why crave a penthouse that's fit for a queen? You're near heaven on Mother Earth's green. If you had millions, what would they all mean 100 years from today? So laugh and sing, make love the thing, be happy while you may, 'cause there's always one beneath the sun who's bound to make you feel that way. The moon is shining, and that's a good thing. Cling to me closer and say you'll be mine. Remember, darling, we won't see it shine 100 years from today. 100 years from today. pass them around, you'll find my reason is logically sound. Who's gonna know that you passed them around 100 years from today? Why crave a penthouse that's fit for a queen? You're nearer heaven on Mother Earth's screen. If you had millions, what would they all mean 100 years from today? So laugh and sing, make joy the thing, be happy while you may. 'Cause there's always one beneath the sun who's bound to make you feel that way. Oh, the moon is shining, that's a good thing. Cling to me closer, sail in line. Remember, darling, we won't see it shine 100 years from today. 100, oh 100 years from two. Don't save your kisses, pass them all around 100 years and not one more. Isn't that a great tune, man?
Great tune.
Woo! That's a great tune.
33. It's a
33, was it?
early tune.
33. That's something else. 100 years from today. Man. Well, maybe 100 years from today we'll be through all this craziness and back playing gigs. I don't know how my chops are going to be in 100 years, but we'll see what we can do. Well, we have, I think, one more tune for you here, folks. We want to thank you so much for checking out this concert here live from the Jazz Loft. Steve Salerno on the guitar joining me, and we're just doing our best to keep on keeping on. We hope that you will continue to check us out and support what we are doing. We want to remind you again of this wonderful Living Museum tour that's coming up next weekend, and another one to follow in early October. If you visit our website, you can see all of that information. And again, we just want to thank all of our patrons and donors and sponsors and folks that we've gotten grants from and whatnot. This is, without doubt, the most trying time in the history of our music. You know, for 20 years now almost, I've been teaching history of jazz classes, and I always said that the recording ban that lasted about 2 years, that happened in the 1940s, was the hardest and most horrific thing that happened to jazz musicians. And I realized when I started this semester and those words were about to come out of my mouth, that actually what we're dealing with currently has now trumped that. And this is the most challenging season for artists, period. Creative individuals who make their livelihood doing this, and institutions that support that, performance venues, museums, art galleries, you name it. So a real heartfelt thank you to so many people that have been supporting the Jazz Loft and our community at large to stay afloat and get through this. We appreciate that. And if music has taught us anything, it's that it is important, and it's a healing force, and we are a collective team, and we will get through this, that's for sure. But a very, very heartfelt thank you to everybody that's been supporting us out there. So we're going to play a Billy Strayhorn composition for you, and this is a rather obscure one, and it was written back in 1956, and it is a lengthy title, one that is the Ballad for Very Tired and Very Sad Lotus Eaters. So for all of you lotus eaters out there who are tired and are sad, this goes out to all of you. And we hope that you enjoy this. They're out there. You know they're out there, man. They're out there, those lotus eaters, you know?
A little intro. Now that is a tune.
That is a tune.
I mean, come on,
Wow.
just write one like that.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
You write one like that, I'll write one like in the
Wow.
beginning, and
Wow.
we'll be set. We'll be set, right?
That is rarely played,
That is.
and such a killer tune.
That is. Well, man, I think we have one more in us. And I'm going to put Steve on the spot. And this could be an absolute epic disaster, but I was a bit inspired recently. I've been checking out the music of Jelly Roll Morton. And man, you listen to 1 3-minute tune of Jelly Roll Morton, you would need a half hour in an analysis class to really dig into what that guy did. What he did with his band, it was kind of like what Ellington did with his orchestra later. The voicings and the form and harmonically and melodically, I was really blown away. And I was listening to, there's these wonderful Alan Lomax recordings. Alan was recording early jazz pioneers in the 1930s. And thanks to Alan Lomax, we actually have a lot of the history that we have. And he did extensive interviews with Jelly Roll Morton, sitting at the piano, and Jelly Roll would just tell stories, and he'd play, and he'd talk about all sorts of things. And with Jelly Roll Morton, you didn't quite know always what was true and what was exaggerated and what was completely made up. But thankfully, we do know, all these years later, kind of what is true and what was not. But there's a great story Jelly Roll has of during Mardi Gras, they would have the Mardi Gras Indians. And these were groups of 3 or 4 tribes that would show up all fully dressed, and they would do this incredible, crazy dance. And I was listening to Jelly Roll tell this story about the Mardi Gras Indians, and I couldn't help think when I was a little kid, my grandfather used to tell me the story. He used to say, when I was a little kid, I used to sit on the picket fence, and I would watch the Indians go by. And I had a BB gun, and I'd shoot the arrows out of their hats as they went by. And as a little kid, I believed this. And then as I got older, I realized, wow, I don't know what I was more impressed by, that possibly you were old enough to see Indians, or that you had the ability to sit on a picket fence. You know what I mean? So, obviously that was completely made up. And then I got to thinking about Jelly Roll, and maybe his was somewhat made up, but I think there was fact in this. And there was this wonderful call and response that would happen. And the one Indians would say, one group of them would say, Two-way bak away a wonton day, two-way bak, and then the other ones would say a wonton day, a two-way bak a day, a wonton day, and then they'd have these little breaks and different things that would happen, and they'd have these spy boys that would go ahead to try and get the other Indians to bow, and sometimes these fights would break out and all that. So this is completely spontaneous, as you could see from Steve paying close attention, because he's wondering what's going to happen. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we completely improvised a little something on these Mardi Gras Indians?
Yeah.
So we're going to close with this. This is totally in the spirit of jazz, 100% spontaneous improvisation. And we will call this in honor of Jelly Roll Morton, and my grandfather, who were both very good storytellers. We will call this Mardi Gras Indians.
You have a key in mind?
I do not.
Okay,
I was
good.
just thinking we'll kind of base it on that little line.
All right.
Yeah, man.
That's going on the record.
Mardi Gras Indians, man. First time. You heard it here first, folks. Woohoo.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to my good friend Steve Salerno for mixing it up with me. We do hope to see you soon. Take care, folks, and God bless. All right. Bye-bye.